Hi and welcome to this course Build e-commerce website using PHP. My name is Mustafa Alawi. I'm a software developer and entrepreneur with several years of experience. I have taught more than 3,000 students online and offline several courses in web development, software development, and entrepreneurship. And I have worked as a consultant on various projects helping local businesses. In this course, you are going to learn how to create a complete e-commerce store using PHP. And in this course, you are going to learn a lot. This course will not just teach you the back-end side. This course is going to teach you the complete process, how to create a complete e-commerce website from scratch. So first of all, I'm going to teach you how to structure your project. Second, I'm going to teach you how to work on the user interface, how to use HTML and CSS to build a complete user interface like this that's going to look outstanding. And I'm going to also teach you how to incorporate Bootstrap so that you can create the web page like this where it will be divided beautifully into sections. And moreover, you will be taught so many CSS tips and tricks to make the website look outstanding. You will also be taught how to create other pages. You will also be taught how to create the shop page, how to create the account page, how to create the cart page. All these things will be taught in this course. Then I'm going to move on to teach you the back-end side where I'm going to teach you how to use PHP to make the website functional. So the website will be active after we add PHP. So you will be taught how to add products to cart so that users and customers will be able to add products to cart. You will also be taught how to update your cart, how to remove products from the cart, how to let customers check out. So customers will be able to place orders, and moreover, customers will also be able to pay using PayPal. I'm going to teach you how to incorporate PayPal so that you will be able to receive money from your customers. And I'm going to teach you the process from scratch, how to incorporate PayPal into your e-commerce website. I'm going to also teach you how to create an account page and how to create orders page where customers will be able to check their orders and pay for orders that they have placed and did not pay for yet. And moreover, you will be taught how to create other pages such as contact us page and other pages as well. Moreover, you will be taught how to create an admin dashboard to control all your orders and to monitor your business and to control the products. So you will be able to check all of the products that you have. You can update the products, you can create new products, you can update images. You will have control over your system and over your store using a beautiful admin dashboard. And you will also be able to monitor and manage orders. So you will check all of the orders that you got and you can edit them, you can update them, you can delete them, you can do pretty much anything you want from your admin dashboard, which has so powerful features. And I'm going to teach you the process and how to add all of these features and include all of these features into your admin dashboard. In this course, you are going to learn a lot of things. And by the end of this course, you will have gained so many skills and so many skills that will allow you to start building advanced projects. Who is this course for? It's very important to know who is this course for so that you can make the decision whether you should take this course or not. And I'm going to be helping you by providing you with the groups that I think should take this course. The first group is web developers who want to become professional PHP developers. If you want to become a professional PHP developer rather than just a beginner, then this course is for you. Because I can guarantee that after taking this course, your PHP skills will be so advanced and you will be able to start building advanced projects. The second group that I think should take this course is developers who want to become full stack developers. So if you want to become a full stack developer, then this course is for you, because I'm not just going to focus on the front end or the back end. Instead, I'm gonna teach you how to create the e-commerce store from scratch. So you will be taught the front end as well as the back end. You will be taught HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, as well as PHP. So the course will cover everything. So by the end of this course, you will have gained skills in the front end as well as in the back end, so that you will be capable of building advanced projects. What is expected after taking this course? Well, after taking this course, first, you will have robust understanding of how e-commerce websites work. Second, you will have created a complete e-commerce website using PHP. Third, you will surely become a professional full-stack developer. Finally, you will be able to start applying for full-stack developer positions as well as PHP developer positions, because you will be confident having taken and having built a complete e-commerce website using PHP. If you have any questions about this course, let me know and I'll be glad to answer them. You can contact me on my website, commoncode.com. So what tools do you need for this course? Well, for this course, you need, first of all, you need a reliable IDE or text editor. And my recommendation is that you install Visual Studio Code, where you can install it from code.visualstudio.com. You can head on over to that link, code.visualstudio.com, and then install it. For Mac, it's gonna say here download for Mac, and you can just click on this and install it as if you are installing any Mac program on your Mac. If you are using Windows, you can select it from here, and it's gonna say here download for Windows by default, or you can click here if it doesn't say that, and you can select your Windows. Here you can select Windows and download the version from here, and you can also install, and you should also install it as if you are installing a program on your Windows. And if you already have a reliable text editor or IDE that you feel comfortable coding with, then you don't need to install Visual Studio Code. But if you don't, I'd recommend using Visual Studio Code. So once XAMPP is installed, you will find it among your applications. So if I click on this manager, it will open it for me, and it might ask you for your PC or Mac password. And then I'll go to manage servers, and first of all, you need to run the Apache web server. Click on start and wait until here it says running. And once here it says running, you can start your MySQL database. Click on check it, or click on it and then click on start. Once here it says running, you will be able to work with the Apache web server and your MySQL database. And by the way, if it forcefully goes back to stopped, either the Apache web server or the MySQL database, then you might need to restart your PC or your Mac. Once these two are running, go to welcome and then head on over to go to application and click on it, and it will open the localhost. And here in the localhost, you can check information about your PHP installation and your database as well. So if I go to phpMyAdmin, it will open phpMyAdmin, where I can manage my databases and tables and do operations on them. And by the way, whenever you are working, just keep the Apache web server open and running, and also the MySQL database running all the time, because otherwise you won't be able to work with the database and insert data and get data and all of that good stuff. First of all, to download PHP, we are going to download Champ. So click Champ inside Google, and now you have this website, apachefriends.org. Click on it.
and now you have all the downloads for all the operating systems available. Click on the one that you are using. I'm using Windows, so I'm gonna click on Windows, and here it says the version of PHP. It's 7.2. Click on it, and it's gonna start downloading. And after it's finished, what you need to do is just click a few nexts, and you are good to go. And this is here a short video that tells you how to do so. It's just a few nexts. It's not difficult at all. I'm gonna stop here downloading because I already installed it. So after installation, you should find it here. As you can see, I already have it. So if you click on if you search after installation for XAMPP, you have the control panel. Click on it, and you have this panel. And the one that we are going to use is the Apache, the server, so that we make our computer as a server. You need to click on Start, and the MySQL as well, so that we can use MySQL for Laravel. You need also to click on Start.
So in order to add PHP to your environment, first of all, you need to open the environment variables from your Start menu, and then click on Environment Variables. And then scroll in the system variables, and then select Path and open the path. And then here you should find that you have XAMPP PHP. You should have /XAMPP/PHP. If you don't, you need to click on New, and then you need to add it. You need to add C and then :/XAMPP/PHP. And once you have done that, all you need to do is that you need to click on OK and then OK. This is gonna add PHP to your path, where you will be able to use PHP from any location in your Windows 10. Now, if you open the CMD and type PHP-V, it's gonna work. And here, if you open the terminal in Visual Studio Code and just type PHP-V, it's gonna print out the PHP, and it's gonna here tell you that PHP exists. So this is how you can add PHP to your path in Windows. Now it's time to create our project folder. So in order to create our project folder, I'm going to create it on the desktop because it's easier for me to access. So I want you to create it on the desktop because it's easy for you to access and work with. So I'm going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to name it project. You can name it, of course, whatever you want. I'm just going to name it project. And then I'm going to drag this folder and drop it on Visual Studio Code, and it will be opened in Visual Studio Code. Now, as you can see, the project has been opened in Visual Studio Code. So now the first thing that I'm going to do here is that I'm going to create our project file, the first file. So to create a file, you can click here on this new file icon and then create a file. The first file that I'm going to create, I'm going to name it index.html. And then here, in order to add the basic code of HTML, you can, in Visual Studio Code, you can just type exclamation mark and then hit enter, and this is going to add the basic skeleton of the HTML page here in this index.html. And if you couldn't do this for some reason, you can just type this code. You can type this out and make sure that this code is correct. So this is how you can create the project and the first file. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the structure of the this project folder. So here, the first thing that I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a folder here. I'm gonna create a new folder. So I'm gonna create here a folder called here. You can click on this folder icon, and you will be able to create a folder. So I'm gonna create a folder called assets. And then I'm going to hit enter, and this is going to create this folder. And I'm going to select this folder, and then I'm going to create two more folders inside this assets. So the first folder that I'm going to create is called CSS. And then select the assets one more time, and then click again on the icon, on the create new folder icon, and then create a new folder called JS for JavaScript. And then I want you to select the assets folder one more time and then click on the new icon folder, and I want you to create a new folder called images, IMGS, images, for images. So make sure now that you have 3 folders: CSS, images, and JavaScript, and all of them must be inside the assets. So this is the structure of our project here in this folder, in the big folder. Now what we need to do is that we need to create a file, the first CSS file in the CSS. So I'm going to select the CSS folder, make sure that you select that, and then click on the new file icon. And the new file icon, not the new folder, the new file. And then create a file called style.css. Style.css. So now we have this style.css. The next step is that we need to import this style.css here in this index.html. So in the above the closing tag of the head, you need to say link, and then rel is equal to style sheet, and then href, the href is going to be equal to double quotes, and then assets, and then /css, and then /style.css. Again, that's assets, css, style.css, because we are trying to access the style.css, which is inside the css, which is inside the assets. So here, make sure that this is correct: assets, css, style.css. Now the css file has been imported here in the index, and whenever we have a CSS code in the style.css, we will be able to use it here in the index.html. So now what we need to do is that we need to import Bootstrap. So you need to head on over to getbootstrap.com and then click on Get Started. And then the first step in order to import Bootstrap is to copy the CSS link. So here we have CSS. Make sure that you are here under the CSS. You will find a link. Click on copy and then paste it just above the style.css here. You need to paste it here. So this is the first step, is to get the CSS of Bootstrap and paste it above the style.css. The next step is to get the JavaScript part of Bootstrap, which is this link. Make sure that you are under JavaScript and select this link under the bundle. Select this link or click on copy, and then you need to paste that code above the closing tag of the body. You need to paste it here. Paste it here, and now we have imported Bootstrap correctly. Now what we need to do is that we need to import Font Awesome in order to add awesome icons to the website. So in order to import Font Awesome, you need to head on over to Google and then just type Font Awesome CDN. So you need to Google Font Awesome CDN, and then you will find a link here, probably the second link, but make sure that the URL is fontawesome.com. Make sure that it belongs to Font Awesome. And here it says set up Font Awesome with CDN. Click on it. So make sure that you are heading on over to the fontawesome.com. So this CDN must be inside this fontawesome.com. And now you'll find here, if you scroll, you will find here this link. I want you to copy this link. Copy this link. You need to select this link completely and make sure that you select everything. Make sure that you select the complete link, and then copy it, and then after you copy it, just paste it here. You need to paste it below Bootstrap here. You need to paste it here. So this is Font Awesome. Again, this is Font Awesome. Make sure that you paste it here below this Bootstrap and above the style.css. So make sure that everything's correct, and after you are done, just click on File and then Save All. Now what we need to do is that we need to import the navigation bar that I'm going to be using in order to add it to our website and work on it. So in order to get the navigation bar, in order to import the navigation bar, you can head on over to getbootstrap.com and then click on Get Started, and then you will find on the left side here you will find Components. Click on it, and if you scroll you will find Nav Bar, and there are so many nav bars here. There are so many nav bars. The nav bar that I'm going to be using is this one. However, I'm gonna edit this a lot. But the good news is that this is gonna save us some time because you don't have to create this code. You have this code and you can edit this code and add and modify this navigation bar to suit your design. So I'm gonna click here on copy, and then I'm gonna paste this navigation bar in the just below the starting body tag here. And this is our navigation bar. Make sure that this here, I'm gonna say here nav bar. So this is the navigation bar. Let me now open my file in the browser. So you can open the file in the browser just by double clicking on index.html, and it will be opened in the default browser. So as you can see, this is the navigation bar. This is how it's gonna look like, and it's responsive as well. So this is how it's gonna look like, but we need to work on it further in order to make it look amazing. So now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna show you that you can add these two buttons, these two icons in the same LI. So instead of adding each one in a separate nav item, you can add both together. So let me show you what I'm gonna do. So you can copy this and then paste it in the same nav bar icon, and then in the same nav bar item, and then remove this, and now it's gonna be displayed like this. So I think this is better because now we have here a much bigger space, but we still need to work on the design. But you can also do this. So you can use the first method or this method. Also, the shopping cart, you can use the shopping cart, or you can use the shopping bag. The shopping bag is going to display a shopping bag. So as you can see, a bag like this. Another thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to make this navigation bar fixed, meaning that if you scroll, I want this navigation bar to remain at the top of the screen always, so that the user will always be able to check this navigation bar and click on any button if they want, even if they scroll. To do this, you can use a Bootstrap class called fixed top. So here, if you say fixed top, this is going to make this navigation bar stick to the top of the screen. Another thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to increase the height of this navigation bar. And there are so many options to do this. The easiest option is to use the PY3. The PY is the margin, is the padding, Y, which is height, and the padding top and bottom. You can increase this all the way to 5. You can say here 5. 5 is going to increase it further, but of course 5 is too large. I'm going to say 3. 3 is enough. I think 3 is enough. So this is for the navigation bar. And another thing that I'm going to do is that instead of displaying nav bar, I'm going to remove this navigation bar. I'm going to remove this nav bar, and instead I'm going to use an image. I'm going to display the icon, the logo of the website. So I'm going to say image and then source, and then the source is going to be equal to double quotes, and then assets / images / and then logo.jpg. However, I don't have an image called logo.jpg. So we need to add in the images here, we need to add a logo to this folder, and I'm going to do that later. But for now, I'm just going to say assets, images logo.jpg. So the name of the image is going to be jpg. Let me now work on the style a little bit. So I'm going to open up the style here, the style.css, and then I'm going to add the following designs. I'm going to add the general designs. So what are the general designs? The general designs are the things that will be applied to the complete website, such as designs for the headers and designs for titles and things like that. First, I'm going to say here dot nav buttons, and then I'm going to add a nav buttons class to this div. I'm going to say here nav buttons, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to increase the margin left. I'm going to say margin left. So the margin left is going to be 60%. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to push this nav bar. Let me refresh and show you what's going to happen. I want to push this nav bar to the right side. So this is how it's going to look like. I'm going to be displaying these buttons on the right side. Let me decrease this a little. So instead of 60, I'm going to say 50. 50 is enough, I think. So 50 will display it like this. And you can here, let's say 60, because I think 60 is great. So 60 will be great. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add some designs to the complete page. So for the complete site, I'm going to add the following. First, the margin is going to be 0. The padding is going to be 0. And the box sizing is going to be border box. Next, I'm going to change the body of the website. So the body will have a font family, and I'm going to import that font family right now from Google. So you can head on over to Google, click on first you need to go to fonts.google.com, and then you can select the font that you want. The font that I'm going to be using here is called Poppins. It's called Poppins. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to select it. And then in order to import that font, what you need to do is that you need to click on select this style, and then here you will find link and import. I'm going to click on import, and then you need to copy this part, and then you need to paste it back in your project at the top in the style. You need to paste it here. And then here the font family is going to be equal to the Poppins. So I'm going to say here Poppins. Pop. Make sure that the spelling is correct. Poppins, and then comma, and then sans serif. So this is for the font family of the complete page. Next, I'm going to work on the H1. I'm going to change the H1. So I'm going to change the font size and the font weight for H1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and even 6. So I'm going to say font size for H1, the font size is going to be 2.5 rem, whereas the font weight, is going to be 700. I'm going to also change the H2. So for the H2, I'm going to say font size 1.9 rem, whereas the font weight is going to be 600. And then I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it here, and here, and here. So for H3, I'm going to say here H3. For the H3, the font size is going to be 1.5, and the font weight is going to be 800. For H4, the font size is going to be 1.2, and the font weight is 600. And then for H5, I'm going to change the font size to be 1, and the font weight is going to be 400. And for H6, I'm just gonna change the color. I'm gonna say color, and then I'm gonna change the color to this color. I'm gonna be using a color that's close to the white color. I'm gonna say D8, D8, D8. So this is for this part. Next, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna work on the this part. I'm gonna work on. Let me close this. We no longer need this. I'm gonna work on the body of our website. So now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna work on the design of the navigation bar. So for the navigation bar, first I'm gonna open up the style.css, and in the style.css, I'm gonna first start working on the nav bar. So if you check here the index, you'll find that we have here a class called navbar, which is a bootstrap class. I'm gonna be using it to edit the design further. I'm gonna say navbar, and the navbar here, I'm gonna change the following. First, I'm gonna change the font size. So the font size of the navbar, font size. So the font size is going to be 16 pixels. And the padding top, I'm going to add some padding top. The padding top is going to be 2 rem, important. And I'm going to change also the padding bottom. Padding bottom. The padding bottom is going to be also 2 rem, important. And for the top and left will be 0. The top is going to be 0, and the left is also going to be 0. Let me now refresh, and there will be more space. Next, I'm going to work here on the remember we have here in the nav index, you'll find that we have the nav bar light. And we also have the nav link. So I need to access the nav link because I want to edit these buttons, the design of these buttons. So to access these buttons, we can say here .nav bar light, and then .nav bar nav, and then .nav link. So for the nav link, which is this nav link for these buttons, the design is going to be like this. First, I'm going to change the padding. I'm going to say padding. The padding top and bottom is going to be 0, whereas the right and left is going to be 20 px. And for the color, I'm going to change the color to black color. And the transition point for ease. So what is the transition? The transition is just a 0.4 seconds. So the transition is just an amount of time where the element will pass through that time in order to be displayed completely on the screen. So it's going to take these buttons 0.4 of a second to be completely displayed on the screen. It's not very noticeable, but it adds an effect that will make the website look amazing. You will find that later. You'll find that shortly. Next, I'm gonna work on the hover effect of these buttons. So if I hover over these buttons, I need to display another color. Therefore, I'm gonna say here dot. Let me copy this, and instead of repeating all of this, I'm gonna copy this, and then I'm gonna paste it here, and instead I'm gonna say here comma, and then I'm gonna say dot nav bar I hover. And also for the buttons, I'm gonna say comma, and then I'm gonna say here link, and then dot active, and also here but for the nav link itself I'm gonna say hover. So for the hover, and then comma, and then for the I, and also for the active, and also for the dot nav bar I hover. So this for the hover, for the link, for the links, for these links, and also for these eyes, as well as the active, for the active, and for the here by the way I have this twice. I should say here not comma. We need to remove this comma. So here only nav bar active, and then dot nav bar hover. So the color is going to be the coral. It's a orange color. Let me now refresh and show you. Now if I hover over these buttons, the color will be orange, which looks amazing. Next, let's work on the eye, which is these. We need to add some space because as you can see they are very close to one another. So we need to add some space. To add some space to these, I'm gonna say nav bar I, and then I'm gonna add. First, I'm gonna change the font size. So the font size is gonna be 1.2 rem, and I'm gonna also change the padding and the transition. So the padding is gonna be 0 top and bottom, and 0.7 pixels right and left. For the transition, I'm gonna add a transition. So the transition is gonna be 0.4 seconds ease. And then finally, I'm gonna add a font weight and cursor. So font weight, the font weight is gonna be 500, and the cursor pointer, because I want to whenever I hover over it I want it to be shown. So as you can see here, if I hover over it, it will be different in terms of the color. And by the way, if you font weight, if you remove the font weight and refresh back, it will, as you can see, it will be filled. And if you add the font weight and refresh, they will be empty. So you can add the color. You can add the color by just removing the font weight if you want. Finally, I'm going to increase the space further. So I'm going to add some space here. I'm going to say margin left. So the margin left is going to be 5px. And let me refresh. And as you can see, there will be some space. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the design of this area. So first of all, here in the index, below this navigation bar, I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to say here, home. This is going to be the home section. And I'm going to create a section here. And I'm going to give this section an ID called home. And then inside that section, first we need a div. And for this div, I'm gonna give it a class, and let me just keep this class empty for now. And then inside, and I'm gonna be telling you why I kept this empty for now later. You will understand why, because I want to explain something very important when it comes to design later. Inside this div, I want to display h5, and I want to display h1, and I want to display also a paragraph, and I want a button. Now for this h5, I'm going to display, let's say here, new arrivals, all capital letters. And then for the H1, I'm gonna say here best prices for best, let's say best prices for best or for the best quality, or this year, or whatever you want, this season. Let's say best quality this season, this best prices this season. And then for the paragraph, I'm going to display the following text. I'm going to say here the shop offers the best products for the most affordable prices, whatever you want to display here. And then for the button, I'm gonna say shop now. Shop now. Let me save and let me refresh here and show you that it's gonna look like this. Of course, the design needs a lot of things. We need to work on the design to make this look better than this. So let's work on the design. The first thing that we need to work on is obviously the home. So we have an ID called home, and we need to work on this ID. So let me head on over to the style.css. I'm gonna head on over to the style.css, and then here I'm gonna start working on the home. So the home is here is an ID, therefore I'm gonna say hashtag home because it's an ID. And then I'm gonna first change the background color. I'm gonna say background color, background image actually. I'm gonna add an image. I'm gonna say image and then URL. And then I'm gonna get this image later, but let me keep this empty for now. And then I'm gonna change the width. The width is gonna be 100% because I want it to take the complete screen width. And the height is gonna be a specific height. The height is gonna be 100 VH, and it depends upon the height of the image. So I'm gonna be using an image that is smaller than this, so I don't have to worry about the height. The background size is gonna be cover, which means that it's gonna cover the background area. The background position is going to be 90%, but let me work on this later because I want to explain something important. If I do this now, you will not understand. So let me get the image first. So I have this image, and in order to add this image, you need to open up the images folder. Now what we need to do is that we need to display these things here in this area. And to do this, we need to change the display here to flex, and the flex direction to be column, and finally the justify content is going to be center. This is going to center the content in the column, and the align items to be flex start. Let me show you what this is going to do. Now if I refresh, these elements, as you can see, will be displayed on the left side, but in the center, because I said center and flex start, which is going to be displayed from the start. However, we want to push this a little to the right side, and to do this we can use the container class. The container class is going to let the image, this image, and this text be displayed on the exact start point. Let me show you. If I say here container, what's going to happen. So I'm going to say here container, and I'm going to say also here I'm going to say, instead of container fluid, I'm going to say just container. So here container, and here container. Now if I refresh, as you can see, they will start from the same exact point. So the starting point is here, and here the starting point is here. Now our website looks amazing. The other thing that I wanted to do is that I want to shift that man to the right side a little. I want to shift the image, I should say, to the right side a little. To do this, you can increase the position, the background position X to say 120. Now, if I refresh, as you can see, a little, but it's not very clear. It's not very clear because I didn't change this a lot. You can say, for example, 200px. If I say 200px, the image will be shifted more. You can control this by this by the position, the background position. Next, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to display this best prices in another color. And to do prices into a span, I'm going to say span, and then I'm going to say here best prices, and then I'm going to remove it from here. And in the style.css, now let's work on this. So to change the color, I'm going to say home, and then span, and the span color is going to be coral. Refresh. Let me save first, and let me refresh one more time. And as you can see, the color is going to be different. So here the color is orange, whereas the color here is black. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be working on the section that's going to come after this, which is going to be a bar here that's going to display brands, different brands from the brands that we have in our website. So here, what I'm going to do in the HTML, first I'm going to add a comment, and then I'm going to add brand. I'm going to say brand because this is going to display the brands that we have. So for this section, I'm going to create a section, and I'm going to give this section ID, and the ID is going to be just brand. And I'm going to give it also a class. The class is also going to be the container class. And inside that section, I want to display a row. I want you to say dev, and then I'm going to give it a class called row. So what this row does is that it divides the page into rows and columns. And you can divide the page into columns up to 12 columns, because Bootstrap divides the page into 12 columns. And you can display something on each one of these columns. Or you can let an item take a specific number of columns. For example, you can divide the page into 3 columns, where each item is gonna take 4 columns, a maximum of 12. And this is gonna be clear once I finish. Here, I'm gonna add images. So the first image, I'm gonna say here image, and then I'm gonna give this image a class. First, a class called image fluid, which is gonna make the image responsive. This is a Bootstrap class. Next, I'm gonna say column large 3. So this is going to let the image take 3 columns out of 12, which means that for each single row there will be 4 columns. There will be 4 columns because each one will take 3. For medium screens, I'm gonna say column medium. For medium screens, I'm gonna let each column take 6. I'm gonna let each image take 6 columns, which means that 2 images will be displayed per column, per row. For small screens, I'm gonna say 12, which means that only 1 image will be displayed in case the screen is small. Only 1 image will be displayed per row, and the source is gonna be equal to assets / images, and then / the name of the image. So I'm gonna say here brand1.jpg, and I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna paste it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and we have 4. So again here, column large 3 means that each image will have 3 columns. Each image will take 3 columns. And since each image will take 3 columns and we can only have 12 columns per row, there will be 4 images per row if the screen is large. If the screen is medium, 6 columns for each item, which means that 2 images will be displayed per row. If the screen is small, only 1 image will be displayed per row. Let me now save and show you how it's going to look like. So here, as you can see, it's at the bottom, but the problem is that they aren't being displayed here because I didn't add the images yet. Let me add the images. So I'm going to open up the images folder, and then I have these images. I'm going to drag these images and drop them onto the images folder. So we have this, and this, and this, and this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have this. So we have 4 images, we have 4 logos. These are the 4 logos that I'm going to be displaying. Now the names are brand 1, brand 2, brand 3, brand 4, JPEG. So here you need to make sure that the names are brand 1, and then brand 2, and then brand 3, and then brand 4 .jpg. And now if I refresh, the images will be displayed like this. It looks amazing. As you can see, we have these brands, and each brand will be displayed on will take 3 columns. So this is 3, 3, 3, 3, which means 12. In case the screen is small, only 1 image will be displayed. In case the screen is medium, 2 images will be displayed. So this is the power of using Bootstrap. It gives you a control over what you want to display per row and per column. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to work on the design of the navigation bar, but when the navigation bar is in a small screen here, in the small screen, if you click on the navigation bar, as you can see, the design doesn't look good. So let's work on this. So in order to work on this, I'm going to head on over to Bootstrap. I'm going to head on over to CSS. So in CSS, we need to add the following code here. So since this design is only applicable to small screens, we need to add it in media query. So I'm going to say here media at media only screen and max width is maximum width is 990px. So what does this mean? This means that the design that I'm going to add inside here will only be applied to screens that to the design when the screen is 990px or smaller. Maximum width, the maximum width is 990. Beyond this, if the screen is greater than, if the screen is too big, the design is not going to take effect. It's not going to work. So this is what I mean by using this code. So here, in case the screen is small, I'm going to say .nav buttons, which is this, this nav buttons. So these nav buttons, we need to remove the margin. So I'm going to say margin 10, because we have already given this nav buttons. Remember, at the top we have given the nav buttons 60%. So we pushed the margin left 60%, and we need to remove this by here changing the margin to be only 10px. Now if I save and refresh and click here, as you can see, the margin will only be 10. Let's also fix the design here further. So for these, I'm going to say here .nav buttons, UL, and then I'm going to change the margin. The margin is going to be 1 rem, and the justify content is going to be flex start. So they are going to be from the left, start from the left. And the align items is going to be also flex start. Finally, the text align is going to be left. For these icons, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say dot nav buttons, and then UL, and then dot FAS, because these two items have a class called FAS. So here I'm going to say margin, and then 20px, 5px, 10px, and 20px. So margin 20px from the top, margin 5 from the right, margin 10 from the bottom, and margin 20 from the left. And here I said nav buttons UL because the FAS class is located inside the UL of the nav buttons, because this class FAS is inside this UL, which is inside the nav buttons. Let me now click on File and then Save All. Let me refresh. As you can see, it looks amazing. Now we have a better space, and the design for small screens is going to look like this, where there's a space from the left, from the right. Everything looks amazing. Now I'm going to be working on the next section, which is going to be a section for displaying 3 cards. Each single card will display a new product in our website. So here I'm going to create a new section called New. And then I'm going to, here's a section. And then for this section, first I'm going to give it, as usual, I'm going to give it an ID. I'm going to say ID. And the ID is going to be New. And I'm going to also give it a class. And that class is going to be width 100. And inside that section, first I'm going to divide that section. I'm going to use the raw to divide that section into 3 columns. So I'm going to say div, and then I'm going to give this div a class, the raw class, to divide the page into a row that consists of 3 columns. And I'm going to remove the padding and the margins. So I'm going to say P0 and M0. P0 means that I don't want any padding, and M0 means that I don't want any margins. And these are bootstrap. All of these are bootstrap classes. Next, I'm going to display the first column. So for the first column, I'm going to say dev class, and I'm going to give it first a class called 1, which is my class, and then I'm going to give it bootstrap classes. First, column LG4, and column medium 12, and column small 12, which means that for large screens, 3 columns will be displayed per row. For medium screens, only 1 column will be displayed per row. For small screens, only 1 column will be displayed per row. Finally, I'm going to remove the padding. I'm going to say here P0. And then inside that div, I'm going to display an image. I'm going to say image, and then I'm going to say source, and then I'm going to give this, I'm going to first give this image a class, a bootstrap class called image fluid, which is going to make the image responsive. And for the source, I'm going to say assets, images, /1.jpg. And I'm going to get that image later. Below the image, I'm going to display a section, and I'm going to give it a class called details. And for this details, I'm going to display two things. I'm going to display a text that's going to be displayed in H2 in title 2. Here, let's say extremely awesome shoes. And then below, I'm going to display a button. And for the button, I'm just going to say shop now. And I'm going to give it a bootstrap class called text upper case. Let me save and let me head on over to the browser and refresh. And as you can see, we have one column. Let's display two columns here on in the middle and on the right side. So to do that, we need to copy this part. Let me here say 1, and this is the end of 1. So here I'm going to say 2, and then I'm going to say here 3. And I'm going to copy this and paste it here and paste it here. So for 2, let's display a different text. I'm going to say here awesome anything you want to display. Here I'm going to say 50% off. And for the images, I'm going to say 2, and I'm going to say here 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. And let me add the images. So I have here 3 images. I'm going to drag these images and drop them onto the images folder. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So these are the images. And let me now head on over to the browser and test. So now in the browser, as you can see, we have 1, 2, and 3. But the problem is with the images, they don't have the same sizes. Let me work on this. So first of all, this image is too small. We need to replace this with a bigger image. So I have another image. Let me add this image and test with this image. Let me test this image, and I think this image is bigger. As you can see, it's bigger. However, we still need to work on the size because some images might be greater than others. Therefore, we need to work on the design of these images. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to head on over to CSS and I'm going to work on the design of these images. First of all, I'm going to work on the new section. Remember, we have here this new section. In the HTML, we have this new ID. So in the CSS, in the style.css, I'm going to add here the new. I'm going to say new. And then for this new, I'm going to say dot 1, and then image. And remember, this 1 is for this and this and this. So the image is going to be, this image refers to all images that are inside this inside one class. So for the image, we need to change the width and height. I'm going to say width. The width 100% and the height 100%. Now the images should have the same size. So the images should have the same size. And I think they look great now. The next thing that I'm going to work on is that I'm going to add some background position. I'm going to change the background position. So the background position is going to be center because I want to center the images. I'm going to say background position center, and the background repeat is none. Background repeat none, no repeat, and the background size cover. Now Let me refresh, and as you can see, it's gonna look great. Next, we need to work on the position of this one, of the complete div. So for the complete div, I'm gonna say here new.1, and I'm gonna give it a position relative, and I'm gonna display this the button and the text inside or above the image. To do this, we have to change the details section position. Remember, the details, this details is below the image, and in order to display the details above the image, we need to give the details here. We need to say new, and then .1, and then .details. We need to change the position. So I'm going to change the position to absolute, and the top is going to be 0, and the left is also going to be 0. Whereas the color, I'm going to change the color. The color is going to be barely wood. And the font weight, I'm going to change the font weight to be bold. And transition 0.4s ease. And I'm going to give it also opacity of 0.8 and background color. Background color. So the background color is going to be a black color. I'm going to say RGB 111, and that's it. Let me save. Let me show you what's going to happen now. Now what happens is that the text and the button will be displayed above the image, and they will be displayed inside this section, but we want this section to be extended and to take the complete size as the image. And to do this, we need to increase the width and height. Therefore, I'm going to say here width 100%, and the height is also 100%. So this means that this black area will take the complete, will take the same exact size, and will take the same exact height and width as the image. Now let me refresh, and as you can see, it's going to look like this. But let's decrease the opacity a little. I'm going to say opacity 0.7. So this is the opacity. Opacity is a little. You can decrease the opacity even to 0.5. So as you can see, you can decrease and increase the opacity. And also we need to move the text and the button to be displayed in the middle. So in order to do that, we have to change the. Let me here show you what I'm going to do. We have to change the details. We have to change the one class. This one class, because this one class contains the button and the text. Therefore, what I'm going to do here is that for this, I'm going to say new, and then 1, and then nth child 1 dot details. What does this mean? This means that I'm accessing the first child of the one, which is this child, which is the details. So I'm basically accessing the details of the first child. So in other words, I'm accessing this. I'm accessing the first details. So for the first details class, which is this text. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the display. The display is going to be flex display flex, and the justify content is going to be center. This is going to center the text, and the flex direction. The flex direction is going to be column, whereas the align items is going to be start. Align items is going to be flex start. Flex start. And finally, the text align is going to be start. Now, if I save and refresh, the text will be displayed on the left side, in the middle, vertically. In the middle, in terms of the vertically, it's going to be in the middle, but horizontally, it's going to be on the left. As you can see, it's going to be vertically. It's going to be in the middle, because I said here center, the justify content center, and the aligned items is flex start, and the text align is start, which means that it's going to be displayed on the left side. And if this is not clear, you can increase the opacity. Here the opacity could be 0.8. Now if I say 0.8, it's going to be darker and the text will be displayed better.